What's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be doing another Improving in World War II video. This one is very specific to people that are brand new to the game or newer to the game, but it can also help other people out as well. So one of the things that I am going to be talking about is shell shock and how you can prevent it happening to your teammates and all this other stuff. So one of the things that I see a lot of people doing is as soon as they spawn in, regardless of whether it's the start of the game or not, they throw grenades into the center of the map. Think about what you're doing, because if you throw a grenade into the center of the map, one of the first things that happened to me quite a lot is because I rush and I play fast, I end up landing on a teammate's grenade, or a teammate's grenade lands on me, I get shell shocked, and then the enemy team kills me. That means that I've lost that map control because I couldn't react, because I couldn't move because of the shell shock. And when it comes to domination and hardpoint and stuff like that, if your teammates are on that hardpoint or on that flag or capturing a flag, do not throw grenades their way, because if it hits them and it blows up on them, it's going to stop them in their tracks. They're not going to be able to react to people as quickly as they should be able to, and that's going to put your team at a disadvantage. This is something that I really couldn't stand in hardcore, when I was capturing flags and my teammates would just nade me off the flags and stuff like that. It's really frustrating, but obviously in hardcore it's going to kill you. In core it just shell shocks you, and that can give you a massive disadvantage in gunfights and stuff. So that's really frustrating. Obviously, you want map control, you want to be pushing up, and you want to be kind of forcing them back and winning gunfights as much as possible with your team. If you're throwing grenades everywhere and you're hitting your teammates constantly, it's probably going to lead to you either losing the game because of the points that you have enabled the enemy team to capitalize on because you shell-shocked a teammate, or you have stopped him winning that gunfight, which is then led to the loss in something like TDM or whatever. Now, another thing I see is people shooting right off spawn. Whether it's the beginning of the game or not, think about what you are doing, because you are giving your position away straight away. As soon as you spawn in, if you're shooting straight away, the enemy team knows exactly where you're coming from and knows exactly where to expect you, especially if you are dying and a bunch of your teammates die at the same time. They know you're going to spawn in a certain area. They know that you're going to spawn together with your teammates. So if one of you starts shooting, guess what? The enemy team knows exactly where your spawn is now. Especially if they're getting close and pushing up to where that spawn was in the first place. Then you're basically giving the position of all of your team away to the enemy. And that is another thing that can definitely make you lose them gunfights and lose games. So it can have a very, very negative effect on you and your teammates as a whole. Another thing that I see people doing, and this isn't anything to do with teams or winning games or anything like that really, apart from how can you win a game if you're just going to sit there and not move and go back to the same spot all the time? Move around the map. Learn to move around the map, learn to take it slowly. If you're newer to the game, take it slow. Just sort of, don't crouch walk everywhere, but don't sprint everywhere, if you know what I mean. Every time you come to a corner, aim down sight, expect the people to be there. Because if you're just sitting in the corner, aiming down sight, just waiting for people, eventually people are going to catch on to what you are doing and come back and get you. The better players in the game will come back, and they will jump shot and they will drop shot and they will take you apart, especially if you keep going back to that same spot. It's very, very predictable, and it means that you might only get 5 or 6 kills in the game, but you might die 10 times if the guy knows you're just going back to the same spot all the time. Obviously the camping sort of playstyle is not me, I don't do that. But there is times where you do need to back off and take it a bit slower at times in this game, because if you're just running around all the time, then 90% of the time you're going to lose the gunfights that you're getting into, simply because the ADS time in this game is much slower than some of the previous ones like Black Ops 3 and Infinite Warfare, for example. Now, moving on to something else that is very, very frustrating that is people that run into the enemy spawn all the time. Regardless of whether they are there or not. You know, you may have killed someone there. You may have, you know, there might be tags in kill confirmed in that area because you just killed someone. But if you go running into that spawn, the enemy is going to start spawning behind you. That is something that annoys the crap out of me, especially in domination, where people just triple cap all the time and run around and cap every single flag. Because what happens then is the spawns get sporadic, you start getting bad spawns where you're spawning on top of them and they're spawning on top of you, and it creates chaos, basically, is what it does. There's no control on the map anymore, and I find a lot of the time the teams that are going around triple capping all the time are the ones that lose. They're the ones that actually end up dying a lot, and they're also the ones that end up losing the game in the end, because they're constantly capping flags. The enemy team is capping flags back, but then keeping them flags for longer, because as soon as you cap that flag, you're off to the next one. That is not how to play domination, in my opinion. It's really not good for your team, because these are team games, and if you flip the spawns and the enemy ends up behind you, they've got 3 kills. They can take that flag back that you just got. So think about it in that sense. Think about the fact that you need the map control, you need to slow down a bit more. Think about what you're doing and how it will affect other players, because especially in team games like Hardpoint, Domination and stuff like that, and Kill Confirmed and Team Deathmatch, if you're on one end of the map, that means that they're spawning on that other end of the map. But if you go in there and run into that enemy spawn, they're going to start spawning everywhere. And that creates chaos. It means that it's very unpredictable. You don't really know where to look. And obviously people can flank and do different things, and I'm one of them people that will flank around the edge of the map. However, if I know there is people there, I won't just run into that spawn. If I know that there is a possibility that there is people spawning in that certain area that I'm looking at, I'm literally going to turn around, or I'm going to stay looking there and make sure nobody actually comes from that way. Because if they do, I know for a fact I can take them out, because I'll be waiting for them. I'll have that advantage of having a head glitch or cover, being behind cover or whatever, to be able to win that gunfight. And that leads me to my next point. I see a lot of newer players, the level 1s, the level 10s, you know, the real low level players, just jumping everywhere. This is not Black Ops 3 anymore. You can't just jump into the sky and get away from the enemies and the enemy targets and stuff like that. You really need to take cover, get behind cover as much as you can, and if you're taking a lot of damage, go prone or go crouch and try and take cover and try and get back. Because if you don't, then they're going to take you out very quickly. If you try and jump shot, sometimes it will work and sometimes it is very, very effective. If you're jumping off stairs or like a higher point and they're down below and you jump all over, that is where that comes in handy. However, if you're both on the same area and stuff like that, I try and duck behind cover and duck and come back out and pop back out so that I can take that gunfight on once I've healed enough, or if I know that I'm low on health and they're going to push me and they're going to be watching for me to come back up and all that, sometimes I don't even challenge it, I just stay on the ground or whatever. And other times I'll throw a grenade, throw a stun grenade over there and something like that to try and get a bit of an advantage in that gunfight. So yeah, that's just some tips and tricks for the newer players in World War II. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. This is episode 4, like I said, of the Improving in World War II series. More of this series to come very soon. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, favorite and subscribe, and I will talk to you guys next time. Peace.